Well, good morning, Raquel. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm so excited that you and I are here today, and even more excited that we got connected through a person that we both really love and respect, and that's our good friend Claudia over at Babasita. She's actually brought me several guests to the show, so snaps to Claudia because she's always coming through for me. I love her. So,
Yeah, actually,
really-
my friend Stina, who I'm working with on a project, is has been on this podcast as well.
yeah, and Annalise as well. I don't know if you know Annalise, so you're like the third person that she's brought to the show, so she's amazing.
Yeah, she just
Yeah, she's moving and shaking, and Stina was so fun and just learning about her life and her back and forth to Costa Rica, just like, I wanna be her, right? I mean,
yeah, right.
it's
She's an
so cool.
icon.
Yeah, but today is not about any of those people, today is about you, Raquel, so thank you again. We were just talking for a minute, I had mentioned, my daughter went to fashion school, so we have that in common, but, one thing I learned from my daughter is that every designer has an origin story, right? And I would
Yeah.
love a little bit about your origin story. When did you sort of first find yourself pulled towards fashion, towards making clothing? What was that moment, if you could define a moment, Raquel, when you realized that this is your language?
So, yeah, I had this actually in my, solo exhibit. So, when I was 5, I was caught in my room sewing a button to, some, kids felting material that you use for crafts, and I draped a shawl collar and, like, cut holes for sleeves for my Cabbage Patch doll,
I love it.
and my mom, just never touched a sewing needle in her life, she's, you know, not that's not her thing, and
Uh,
she's like, You're 5, you found a sewing needle, you threaded the sewing needle, you made a jacket for your doll." Like, she was just like, "What happened? What just
happened, yeah, what the hell just happened? Yeah.
and, so she took me and I showed my nana, and then my nana was like, "We'll have to get you to fashion school." Which just didn't happen, but
Right.
ultimately, I guess kind of like it went on the back burner, and then I was living in Philly and I always worked at like some sort of, consignment shop,
Sure.
vintage store. I got headhunted at the vintage store because the woman saw me shopping and she's like, "You look so intrinsically at my clothes, like, I've never had an employee here, but if I was to have an employee, you'd be an
Would be
employee,
you.
so do
Yeah,
you wanna work
exactly,
here?"
yeah.
And she was just a super cool punk lady, and I used to upcycle all her clothes.
Oh,
And then I read a Vivienne Westwood book while I was in Philly, and I was like, "Oh, I should go to
right.
fashion
Those are
school
yeah.
because this is definitely what I'm called to do,
Yeah.
what I've been doing." I just was like I was never really like, "Oh, let's read a Vogue magazine," or like, "I wanna be a pretty model," or like anything like that. I just really love, making of clothing.
That's amazing.
So
Yeah.
that's what brought me here to this
Well,
moment, I guess, in my life.
you've worked on both sides of the pond, right? You've worked with independent designers in the UK,
Yeah.
in the US. You've been working for well over a decade now. Kind of how did those early days kinda shape the designer that you are now?
Yeah, so I moved to California when I was 26,
Mhm.
and I stayed for a year so I could become a resident, and I went to a community college for fashion design for free
Nice.
for, 2.5 years, and I studied basically just construction,
Mhm.
and, then I, got a scholarship to go to Academy of Art University after taking, like, only a couple design classes after
Amazing.
I did a runway presentation. And yeah, it just kind of like I always had my hand in the, hospitality industry, so I was working at a restaurant, and the person I worked with by happenstance had graduated from Academy of the Art University while I was still there, and she owned Camperette, which is a huge, luxe designer label in San
Mhm.
Francisco.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah, do you wanna, make some samples for us? We need, some quick samples to bring to Paris for our showroom." And I was like, "Yeah." I was still in school at the time, and, that was a great pillar to add to, the applications, and then,
Yeah. Your
after I got the
resume. Yeah.
scholarship, I went to the UK, and then I had that under my belt, and then that led me to get into more spaces while I was there. I had such a short time, so I went to the UK in 2019.
Mm.
And so, from August 2019 until March 2020, I did 3 different internships working for different designers, and I tried to
Crazy.
work with as many people as luckily, like, I hit the ground running as hard as I could because
Yeah,
then I just
you
got
managed.
shut in
Yeah.
with no studio, and I was like, "No!" Um, Yeah, because I was like, "Go, go, 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 go," for so many years, and then finally, it's like the world shut down, and I was like, "My studio's in storage in San Francisco right now."
God, yeah,
And that's
and
when I
you're
started hand
staying
sewing so
there,
I had
yeah.
more equipment.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Um, but yeah, now hand sewing is basically I have all this equipment now back, and I got my studio up and running, and I'm like, I still do hand sewing all the time because
It
it's
works.
more natural to me now after,
Well, you've
like
been doing it since you were 5, right? I mean, come on.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it's just my favorite form of creating.
I
Uh,
love I love that. So good. I wanna talk to you about your brand. So your brand, Valentina Ventura XX, is that the right way to pronounce it? Is that
yes.
appropriate? Okay. So it's super personal, and I've just become familiar with your brand through our mutual introduction, so I've really just started digging into, all your Instagram posts and following along with the recent runway shows that you've been doing and other collabs that you've been doing and hitting your website. But I did read on your website that it's an homage to your family's lineage, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about that. Tell me about that and how it kinda built the creative identity for you.
So, yes, my mom is born on Valentine's Day, so that's where I got the name Valentina. Ventura is my, maternal grandfather's name,
Mhm.
and my great-grandmother, who was a Ventura, was the seamstress from Sicily, who I think is kind of where I have this skill kind of lineage from. So,
Very cool.
Um, I had worked on I've been working on creating a brand since I was, in my early 20s, and it just becomes different names, different names, different names, and then
Mhm.
when my mom came home from the hairdresser, she was like, "Yeah, my hairdresser was like, 'Your name should be Valentina if you're born on Valentine's Day,'" and I was like, "Oh, wait." Like, the whole name came together, and then I added the XX because, like, Valentina Ventura was super hard to get, like, all the URLs and, like, Instagram handles and stuff,
Right.
and, it's just cheeky, like, fun, like,
Yeah.
yeah, and sometimes, like, when I'm trying to post on marketplaces or they're like, "XX," like, "That's dirty," and I'm like, "It's literally
Yeah.
like a kiss kiss," like,
Yeah.
"What?"
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny, but yeah, I really like it,
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And love that your brand kinda celebrates really the feminine identity, right? And the queer femme identity and kinda challenges, I think, very traditional ideas of sexuality, femininity. Um, that's probably started a lot of conversations for you. You just mentioned the XX, and people will kind of stop and think about that for a second. What kind of, conversations has it started for you?
Honestly, I just write whatever in my Instagram post because I feel like people
I
just,
love it.
like, literally leave emojis underneath and it doesn't start a dialogue. I would love
Okay.
to start a
You wanna
dialogue.
start it
I
okay,
love
so
discourse.
call to action, people. We need to start more dialogues.
Yeah, and start a dialogue with me, I get, a lot of people, like, when I'm working with somebody new, they're like, "What are you gonna be doing?" Like, everyone always thinks I'm, like, this wild and crazy person. I always I'm super consensual, like, I would never ever put an audience member or a model in a position where they were, like, being outside of their own comfort zone,
Yeah.
and that's why I modeled my last runway because it's like no one else could have done that specific
Right.
idea besides me,
Sure.
but yeah, like, everyone's like, "Cover up," that's the most feedback I get is like,
It's too
"Cover
exposed,
up."
eh? Yeah, too
And I'm
exposed.
like, "The body isn't inherently sexual. Men sexualize it, like, let women be free, or
Right.
everyone be free," like, nudity actually is, like, less sexual than being clothed, and, like, that's kind of, like, the biggest message I could say
Right.
that, like, I had a friend, and he was like, "I always see you dressing me with your eyes," because like, he knew how much I loved clothes, and it's like, and it's true, like, I don't wanna see a stark ass naked human, I wanna see clothes on the human, like, that's
Right.
what draws me
That's
in,
what
like,
drives
that's
you in. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
That's so
alluring.
cool.
So it's just like when people find the nudity in my clothes to be sexual, I'm just like, it's actually the opposite.
It's actually the opposite, yeah, so get over that. Yeah. You, and alright, so that's a great other segue I wanna get into with you. So I mentioned to you my daughter went to fashion school. Her roommate was all into sort of a lot of the same Victorian sewing techniques that you're into, corsets, bustier was, like, all basically all she did, and she made beautiful, beautiful corset pieces. You've got a lot of places that you're pulling from, right? Whether it be cinema, outsider art. How do those influences kinda if you can describe it, how do those influences kinda come together in your mind, Raquel, when you're thinking about creating a new piece? Like, pulling from fetish wear or pulling from Victorian sewing or does it not happen that way?
So, yeah, I'll just be making a garment, and then it starts kinda like a conversation in my head, and then it starts building out the collection. Like, I have a collection that I've been kind of, like, keeping under wraps because it's just really slowly coming out, and then some stuff like Underbelly, literally, like, I started writing it in December, and it just, like, blurped out of me, and while I was making that collection, I was reading a history of corsetry and bras and, like, where it all came from, where the supports come from, and then it kind of informs, like, where I put my seam lines or
Yeah.
what fabrics I choose to put where. Um, and yeah, I just literally, the title for the solo show, Deep Look, was inspired by, Dario Argento, Deep Red. You
Deep
know,
breath.
I just kinda pull out
Yeah.
because it's the stuff that I enjoy, and if I enjoy it, it ends up becoming a piece of me in a way,
Cool.
which is, like, another reason why I just kinda, like, stay out of fashion because I feel like if I start enjoying it, like, the designs will start coming into my
Sure.
world, and I'll start making clothes like another person is making them. So I try to, like, look at art, look at cinema and read books other than, like, looking at, like, a runway
I'm like,
presentation or else it will be in my work, it's just how my brain works.
yeah, I get that. I get that.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it just kind of it just all kinda is in my subconscious mind, and then once it starts getting into the physical form, I label it
Mm.
because I know where it's coming from, but before, it took me a long time to get there because before I was just making stuff and I was just, like, into the stuff I was into, and then I started, like, seeing, like, "Oh, the stuff I'm into is in my work, and this is where it comes into." But it's all kind of fluid and I just am really intuitive and, I do have plans, but
Sure.
I like to be free within those plans to, like, let it become what it asks me to
I love
become rather than I don't force things.
don't and you shouldn't force it, right? I mean, that's so
Yeah,
true.
I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
hate forcing anything, really. It's just there's so much in the world, like, I don't need to push out a piece of clothes.
Perfect, right, yeah. One of the things I always enjoyed about when I would go to my daughter's runway shows is you would see this dichotomy, Raquel, between, like, students who were striving for, like, perfection and polish in their work, and then other students that were more raw, right? And more sort of unencumbered.
Mhm.
I feel like imperfection is a part of your aesthetic, and I
Yeah, yeah,
love
everything's one big mistake that I made look beautiful,
the messy
really.
and but I think the messiness is, like, very romantic. I just think it's really cool. So, is that it's an important part of your aesthetic, isn't it?
Yeah, if you look back at my stuff while I was in school, I did it super polished and perfect so I could get the grades in
Yeah,
class.
yeah, of course, yeah, of
And
course.
it's like I can be super messy because there's such a strong design understanding where I know when I can mess up
Yeah,
and it's still gonna look hot, and then if I do mess up there, it's not gonna look good anymore, so I have
mm,
to pull back and get neater. But it took me a long time to get that design language down.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I just don't wanna inspire people not to learn how to design, make clothes, and be messy, and crazy.
right.
Because, yeah, you need to know how to make clothes in order for them to look good that messy.
Yeah, yeah.
And, yeah, as another aspect is that I've been working in a lot of, constraints, like, I lost all my that time during the pandemic, I had
Yeah, you
0
lost all your equipment.
equipment,
Yeah, yeah,
and then I moved home, and I had to build back my studio, but now, and another thing too, it's like I haven't really had like a pattern drafting area. So the upstairs of the building I live in now, which is an art community, has
mm,
a studio area and a super large drafting table. So, my work is gonna shift and become more polished because I have more access to capacity for it.
yeah.
But yeah, I just didn't want to stop working because I wasn't able to make something perfect. Because I still thought it looked cool and people want to wear it.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, I love that. And I love, and again, I'm gonna make a huge leap of faith here, Raquel, right? So Valentina, the use of symbolism of roses in your work, right? I love that. I see a lot. I saw like sort of a lot of like symbolizing beauty, defiance, and the roses appear.
Mhm.
That's all I'm assuming that's all interconnected to your Valentine, your grandmother, all of that, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've always loved roses and dried flowers. I have like all this art is just rose tattoos that I've gotten
Okay.
randomly to like walk-ins
Yeah,
because I just think it's fun to have like 0 like idea what you're doing. Just walk into a tattoo shop and ask for a rose tattoo because most tattoo artists have their own niche one.
sure.
Um, but yeah, roses specifically, love, romance, they're beautiful at all stages. They're beautiful when they're all dried and they become beautiful potpourri. So, like, that's a kind of like a symbolism to femininity
Yeah,
as well. Like,
femininity and sort of like the evolution, right? And everything kinda circles, right?
yeah.
So, that's really cool. Um, the emotionality, you and I talked for a second about this off air, but I feel like all of this intention in your work explores emotions that we usually hide, especially women hide, right? Whether that is an emotion of aggression or vulnerability or desire, or that seems like it's really important for you to bring those shadow emotions to the forefront.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always been like that, and I've been labeled so many different things because of the way I am, but I'm like, I just this is just I can't pretend to, like, not be assertive. I can't pretend to not have desire. I can't pretend I just literally, like, I can maybe for, like, a half hour or so, but it's just like it's, like, popping out at the seams. So, basically, I use my work as a tool so I can be more acceptable. So I
I
don't have to keep and I feel like from 10 years ago till now, it's like a huge difference in the way, I feel like the world interfaces with these shadow emotions with femininity, so I feel like I'm just kind of on the wave with everyone else that's kind of pushing these barriers.
Nice.
Um, and yeah, I think that it's just important, for especially the biggest thing that pushed me in this direction was I moved back to Massachusetts, and I was just like I hadn't lived here since I was 18, and I was like, "Oh, that's why I moved away," 'cause, San Francisco's a lot more like, I was super fucking normal, like, like, my
Well,
friends
in Boston, what do they say
all
about
wild and
Boston?
crazy looking, and I just always dressed this way, and I was just like, like, I was weird enough that I fit in, but I wasn't like I was just normal. I felt like a normal human being. Um, and that's what I miss the most about San Francisco, 'cause, like, there's no other place I've lived where I've been like, "I feel like a normal person." Like,
Yeah,
this is just normal.
maybe do you go down to P-Town at all? It's kinda the only place I feel that kind of somehow embodies that a little bit, you know? Uh,
Yeah, yeah, but that's why I veer towards specifically femme queer because I do feel like there is, like, a masculine dominance with this
oh,
queer
sure, sure.
community. So, I
Yeah,
just like to balance the scales a little bit with being specifically encompassing the femme queer
yeah,
experience.
yeah. I understand. Yeah, that's
But yeah,
really
I haven't been I never I have a 4-year-old, I never get out. I wanna go down to P-Town. I haven't been since before I've ever
oh,
moved.
hop
I
on the ferry,
I
it's
was
so
a kid
easy.
in high
It's so
school.
it's so easy. Um, so the other thing I wanted to ask you is, you have this sort of, because in my role here, let me back up for a second, Raquel. In my role here, I advise a lot of entrepreneurs, right? And I'm seeing more and more, entrepreneurs in the fashion space, right? There's a lot of younger students that are really excited about bringing their creativity to life. They wanna potentially find a opportunity similar to what you're doing. They want to create their own collections. They wanna pull their own collections. One student I was working with recently, all of his pieces are one of a kind, right? And we live in this fast fashion world and mass production and scalability. And I am trying to advise him appropriately to, like, yes, create those one of a kind pieces, and that should mean something deeply creative to you, but can you also compete? And that's kind of a question I asked for you. And maybe you don't care about that. So I'm just kind of curious as to your philosophy on that, Raquel.
Yeah, so I try to balance out my creativity with, being a sustainable business because, I don't wanna get a day job, so, I try to bring in, different aspects because my clothes do sell, easily, and when I do a pop-up at a market, I make a lot of sales, but, it's difficult getting traffic to my website, especially because I don't, like, I just literally, like, if I could avoid giving money to Instagram, giving money
Yeah, yeah,
to
I hear you.
well, whatever, like, I just wanna
That is
make it a word of mouth thing. So, but, what I try to do is, like, I do such a large scope of things, and I just try to value it correctly of how much effort I put into it and really,
mm,
never give my work away. So, if I do, like, an upcycle project, then I can sell it for much cheaper because, it's already a made garment and I just kinda put my flair into it.
yeah.
And so, like, that's kind of like my sustainable aspect of my business that gives it more accessibility for me to create revenue while still creating those one of a kind pieces
Mm,
and the runway stuff, and, I'm always, like, seeking different ways to kind of create value within my work that's not just but selling one of a kind garments, like selling prints or selling,
sure.
you
Good advice.
know,
Yeah.
art or selling, I'm trying to do more show production and finding out ways that I could, make the show, something that's, viable because it's
Yeah,
right now it's a huge expense.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
and so those are the next steps. So yeah, I try to like have different tiers. Like I'm not gonna sell my one of a kind pieces for anything less. So I need to create things that are in the right price bracket.
Right.
And also when people approach me for commissions, I'll accept any budget. I'll just design specifically for that budget,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
able to like say you only have $60 you want to spend on a custom from me. I'm like, let's do
Well,
it,
good for you. That
I'm
seems
not
really
gonna
good.
say
Yeah.
no to business.
Yeah.
And I'll just design accordingly.
I love that. Yeah, I love that you're willing to work through that with your customers, and thank you. That's some really good advice about the diversity and things that I can pass along to my students. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, yeah, I mean, I went to fashion school, I did not go to business school,
Yeah.
but when I've been, like, a hustler, like, when I was 5 again,
Yeah.
my mom sent me to have a lemonade stand in front of our house, and then she came back, like, a half hour later, I'd moved up the street,
Yeah.
I had, like, a whole, like, fire truck, fireman buying lemonades from me, like, I made, like, 12 bucks all by myself, and he was like, "I was looking all over you," I was like, "It was better business up there, mom."
Yeah. Yeah. I got to go up the street. Yeah. That's where
Yeah,
the
yeah.
demand was.
So I do have, like, a business sense naturally.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I'm always just reinvesting in my business, it's my only focus. I don't do besides my daughter is my main focus.
Yeah.
But yeah, my business is my
Yeah. That's what you're investing in, and that makes a lot of sense. Tell me a little bit about when somebody puts on a piece that you've designed. And we talked for earlier a little bit ago about, how dressing for yourself and what that actually looks like and sort of sexuality existing through the male gaze. And that's actually one of the things I love about what Claudia is doing is she's like, look, I'm dressing for myself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when someone puts on a piece you've designed, what do you hope they feel, I guess, in that moment, Raquel, when they slide it on?
So yeah, I feel like, I'm designing to make women and feel good. Like, feel good about themselves, be
Good.
like, "Oh, wow, I feel really hot," and I've gotten a lot of feedback, like, like, "Oh, I was feeling a slump and, I modeled in your show and now I feel, like, fantastic,"
Yeah.
So not, like, specifically ego boost, just reminder of, like, how hot you are and how, you don't need to be validated by the external world. When you dress for yourself, you're validating yourself and reminding yourself of how great you are.
Mhm.
And it's not something you need to externalize because I feel like a lot of it is people externalizing their value outward that creates like grief within themselves.
Sure.
So I try to alleviate that with my
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And it works. People feel like awesome. I mean, I literally like I've had models work with me since the first show and they keep coming back to every
That's
single
a pretty
show.
good sign. Pretty good sign. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I get a lot of repeat customers. I'm working on a garment right now, and, this client has been coming to me since the very start, and, this is maybe the 6th custom,
Wow.
and yeah, yeah, it just keeps getting better every single
Amazing.
time because we work together really well.
I love that. I love that. And to kind of follow on that, you talk about the radical self-acceptance, right? Your brand. And so
Thank you. That's my main thing. Because like,
yeah.
if I could help humanity, it's like
Mhm.
everything that you reject in yourself, you reject into the exterior world.
Mm.
So, say, like, I feel insecure. You're not going to bring that on you're gonna put that on other people, and it's like, I'm sick of experiencing it, so I'm just like, "Hey, can you just accept that?" Like, "You're great, I'm great, we're all great together." There would be, like, me and my other friend were talking about it too, how, extreme wealth is a form of insecurity.
Right.
And we can just debunk, the whole, like, 1%, and we can be like, "Ha, nerds," because 'cause they're so fucking insecure, they have to hoard all the money in the world and watch people starve because they don't feel good about themselves, A person that feels good about themselves is going to want to enrich everything around them. So
Yes.
that's where it comes from. Like, it's a deep philosophical thing, and, like, I sell sexy clothes, but, like, I'm still, like, trying to add positively to the collective consciousness from what
Yeah.
I have an understanding of through my work. And then I also like to make the clothes I wanna wear, so
Right. Well, and
I
and
don't
and I think, what
I'm kinda trippy, I think. I don't know. I don't
I
know
love
how
it. I
people
mean,
see me,
this
but I
like
feel like you see me in my work. I appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah, I would say that very much. And what I wanna kinda ask as we kinda wrap up here is when I encountered your stuff for the first time, which was very recently as we talked about, like, I was thinking, okay, like, this definitely awakened, I guess, something inside of me where I was like, "Wow," again, like, "This is messy, and this is raw, and this is romantic, and this is lusty, and I love this," right? But when someone encounters your work for the first time, whether it's on in a gallery, on a stage, on a runway, a person just on the street, what do you I guess, what do you think or what do you hope it awakens inside of them? Maybe they didn't even know that was there, Raquel.
Yeah, I hope that it, awakens, self-acceptance and love,
Mm. Mhm,
a desire to learn more about themselves,
mhm. That's great.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I guess happy, excited.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty important too, right? I mean, ultimately, like I said, for me, I had never seen your stuff before, but when I saw it, I was like, "There's something really wild going on here," right?
Thank you. I know everyone that, like, the arts community thinks I'm, like, gonna turn the arts community into, like, this crazy party.
But that's okay, like, who cares if you did, right? I mean, why not?
I mean, it wouldn't be a crazy party, it would be, a good one. There's a difference.
There is a
It's
difference, yeah.
bold.
Before I let you go, what's next for you? What's coming up? What's coming down the path?
There's a lot of things. So Sunday, I have a gallery exhibit with the Women's Alignment Art Show in Somerville, and I'll be showing 3 pieces on a mannequin, and I have some models that are gonna come and, just be in the event to show off more of the, Underbelly of Femininity collection. So there's 3 new works I haven't released yet at that show. Um, I received a grant, so I'm gonna be creating the next portion of the Authentic Love Bridal collection. There's gonna be 3 looks, and it's gonna be, shown September 2027, so that's just really in the works right now, but it's fun because I get to announce it 'cause, the Arts Minister has announced it, and, yeah, I'm working on a short film, for really the next collection, I don't wanna do a runway, I just wanna do something different, so I'm gonna be working, and I feel like I might be working in more in that direction, just fashion films, because runways are super fun, but I actually at the end of them, I'm like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can
"What have
imagine.
I done?"
Yeah.
Too tired.
I
I'm
can
trying
imagine
to
it's
focus
so
with
much
that,
work.
and yeah, I have some other stuff going on too, like, that I can't talk about yet because
Yeah,
it's still
that's okay, I get it, we're teasing it, we're teasing it, we're teasing it,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, those are definites,
Stay
and they're
tuned, stay tuned. Amazing. Well, I'm gonna say ValentinaVenturaXX.com and
yes.
on Instagram, ValentinaVenturaXX. Go find Raquel Xavier, go check out her stuff. It's bridal, it's streetwear, it's dead stock, it's repurposed stuff, it's all over the place, and I just love it. I'm here for it. So, thank you so much for your time,
Thank you.
and, yeah, we'll keep an eye out for what's coming next.
Okay, perfect. Talk to you soon.
Thanks soon, bye.